Welcome to What's New Music. My guest today is Alice, singer and bassist with alt-rock band Alice in Tomorrowland. Their new album, Drowning on Dry Land, is out very soon. Alice, welcome.
Hiya, Brayden. Thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure, Alice. Right, no gentle warm-up questions. Drowning on Dry Land. That's not exactly an album title that screams, everything's wonderful.
No, definitely not. The whole album is about some of the mental health issues that people face every day. It focuses on depression, anxiety, loneliness, medication use, and that feeling of trying to function normally when inside your head, everything is anything but normal. The title came from that awful sensation of suffocating while you're still standing there in the everyday world. You look fine, you're functioning, but underneath it, you're drowning in your unrestrained emotions. And nobody really knows.
You said you there, but earlier you described it as something affecting us. Is this album personal?
Yeah, very much so. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and suddenly quite a lot of things about me started making sense.
Like suddenly moving to London and forming a rock band?
No, that was an entirely sensible and carefully considered decision.
Of course it was.
Absolutely. I have documentation. No, it was more about how I dealt with people. I could be incredibly impulsive in conversations. Somebody would be talking and my brain would go, I have something to say. And that would be it. Straight in.
So you've mellowed?
Oh, let's not get carried away.
I won't.
I'm better at recognizing it now, though I'm still pretty forceful.
Isn't that just being a New York gal?
Yeah, but imagine that, then turn the dial up another couple of notches.
Which brings us neatly to London. New York has one of the biggest music scenes on the planet, yet you crossed the Atlantic to make music there. Why?
Space, really. Not physical space, London isn't exactly generous with that, but space to work things out for myself. I'd visited London as a kid and always loved it. It has a completely different energy from New York. When I started writing, I knew that if I stayed close to family and friends, there'd always be someone popping into the studio saying, have you tried this? Or, why don't you change that?
You mean feedback?
No, feedback is welcome.
Right, though there sounds like a but coming.
Sure. Uninvited creative intervention is not so welcome.
So you take criticism terribly.
You're really trying to get me into trouble, aren't you? No, I genuinely like feedback. I just need to get the idea out of my head first. Let me build the thing, then tell me which bits are falling off. If people start throwing ideas at me while I'm still trying to work out what the song actually is, my brain just goes into overload.
And London gave you that separation?
Exactly. Different city, different time zone. I could disappear into the studio and work.
That sounds like quite a leap, though. New country, new home, new band setup.
It was. Although Mom made absolutely certain I wasn't exactly suffering.
I'm intrigued. How did that happen?
She's big in real estate, so my parents bought a flat in London as an investment and helped secure the studio, which is about 2 blocks away.
2 blocks? That's a dangerously short commute.
Yeah, I've got absolutely no excuse for being late.
Do you manage it anyway? Being a young woman in a big city with lots of late-night temptations, bars and things?
Obviously. I'm very dedicated. It's actually great being so close. If I can't sleep, I can just go to the studio and do some writing or practice bass lines. I really enjoy the flexibility it gives me.
Let's get back to Drowning on Dry Land. Here's a track called Manic.
I wake up with the ceiling spinning slow, counting cracks like places I could go. Coffee cold but my head's on fire. Every quiet thought turns into a choir. Mirror says I look the same, but every morning feels like a different name. I whisper fine like a practice trick, but calm and chaos share the same person to every version of me. I couldn't defend the quiet girl with the shaking hand, still hiding where the shadows stand. Everyone loves the highs I bring, the jokes, the noise, the reckless spring. But nobody stays for the crash at night, when gravity wins every fight. I laugh like everything's okay, but the ground is slipping every day. I'm manic, thunder in my chest, running circles in my head again. Too fast to stop, too scared to fall, screaming just to feel it all. Yeah, I'm manic, neon in the rain, dancing barefoot with the pain. If I shatter, don't romantic, I'm just breathing through the manic. Maybe someday the noise will fade, maybe.
Wow, love that. You say this album started with your own experiences, but what about Axl and Courtney, your other band members? Do they buy into it?
They're completely behind it, and that's important because neither of them is looking at these subjects from the outside. Axl has pretty severe anxiety, which is one reason we're not doing live shows at the moment. Courtney had a really difficult time with bulimia when she was younger after being bullied. So all three of us have different experiences. We're not trying to lecture anybody about mental health. We're writing about things that have touched our own lives.
Which presumably makes some of these songs difficult to record because they have a very personal element.
Sure, sometimes, but it also makes them honest. And we want people to be honest about their issues just as we are. One of our major hashtags for the launch campaign is, "What are you hiding?" We want people to be open about their struggles because that's where help starts and the struggle diminishes.
That's very true. So we can hear the album soon, but seeing Alice in Tomorrowland on stage might take a little longer?
Probably, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather we went on stage because all three of us wanted to be there than because somebody told us that's what bands are supposed to do.
Although you have gigged before.
Oh yeah, Alice 1.0.
There was an Alice 1.0?
Sure, different lineup, but finally not to be. We played a few pubs and outdoor venues, and some of that early material was ridiculously raucous. I'd finish a gig barely able to speak through screaming lyrics for 40 minutes.
Occupational hazard for a rock singer?
Only if you're doing it badly. I was basically trying to beat the audience into submission with my vocal cords.
So what's changed?
I grew up a bit. Well, musically anyway.
Important clarification.
Very. I started caring much more about melody. We still have loud guitars and aggressive tracks, but I don't feel that everything needs shouty lyrics and chainsaw riffs anymore.
Does that mean Alice in Tomorrowland isn't really a grunge band now?
I'd say we're more alt-rock. Grunge is still in our DNA. My brother basically force-fed me Nirvana, Hole, and Alice in Chains when I was growing up. That's actually where I got the name Alice in Tomorrowland from. I got my first bass when I was 12 and immediately started pulling Nirvana bass lines apart, trying to work out why they worked. Lithium is still one of my absolute favorites.
As a sometime fellow bassist, I have to ask, any temptation to abandon the stage shadows and become a lead guitarist?
Absolutely none.
That decisive, huh?
We bassists know.
We do.
Everybody else can fight over the solos. I'm happy down at the bottom making the whole thing move. And don't forget, I'm up front anyway screaming the lyrics.
Your last album, Tomorrow's Calling, already suggested the band was changing. You even wandered into K-pop.
Wandered makes it sound accidental.
Wasn't it?
Maybe slightly. We started it for fun and then discovered it was really challenging. The rhythms, the structures, the production, it forced us to think differently.
I loved Lovesick, by the way. I thought that was a great track.
Thank you.
You don't rap.
Yeah, or at least I shouldn't rap. There's a difference.
Have you tried? I mean, really tried?
Oh, yes.
And?
No recordings have survived.
Sensible.
Fortunately, we have a South Korean friend, Jai Pak, who absolutely lives and breathes K-pop. She came over and did the rap sections, but she also helped us understand how the tracks are constructed and some of the nuances we were missing. That album taught us that we didn't have to stay inside this little box marked grunge. Once you realize that, things get interesting.
That's so true. Let's have some more music. This is a track from Drowning on Dry Land called Dosed.
Ah, one of my favorites.
Toast. Everything turns feather light. Gravity forgot my name. The ceiling drifts another mile. Nothing here behaves the same. Every edge is melting slow. Every thought dissolves in blue. I can hear the silence breathe like it's curling into you. Count to 4, lose the floor, floating somewhere I can't measure anymore. I'm ghost, weightless in the quiet glow, slow motion underneath the snow. Every heartbeat fades away. Every color learns to sway. I'm close, close enough to disappear. The world is distant, soft and clear. Everything feels miles away. I'm just dosed. Conversations blur like smoke. Words arrive then drift apart. Clouds are folding through my chest. Gentle weather around my heart. Streetlights bloom like little suns. Every shadow loses shape. Time forgets which way to run. Nothing asks me to escape. Don't speak loud, don't come down. Let the silence wrap itself around me now. I'm ghost, weightless in the quiet glow, slow motion underneath the snow. Every heartbeat.
That is so vastly different from Manic. Was that what you were aiming for with these new tracks?
Yeah, sure. We've been experimenting for some time with structure and melody and understanding just what we could do. As it turns out, quite a lot.
And somehow, that experiment eventually leads to Drowning on Dry Land.
Yeah, although the actual spark for this album came from somewhere completely different. I was here in April for my birthday and met up with an old school friend who was going through a really bad period of depression. It worried me. You could see what it was doing to her. When I got back to London, I started playing around with some melodies I'd written, and suddenly they felt like they belonged to these subjects. That was really the beginning of the album.
Was there a point where you thought, this is bigger than one song?
Oh, definitely. Once I started writing, there were so many different sides of mental health I wanted to explore. And I thought, if somebody hears one of these tracks and thinks, God, somebody else knows what this feels like, then the album has done something worthwhile.
There are some pretty big contrasts on the album, like we've already heard with the tracks Manic and Dosed.
Huge contrasts, just as there are with mental health.
The track called Missed My Meds, for example, is absolutely ferocious.
As it's meant to be. It's supposed to feel chaotic and almost electrical, like everything is happening too fast and you can't grab hold of any of it.
And then you have Dosed, which is almost the opposite.
Exactly. That one's about that strange sense of weightlessness and soft focus some medication can produce. So you've got these two extremes. One track feels like somebody has jammed a fork into the electrical system.
Please don't try that at home.
Yeah, important safety announcement. And the other feels like you're floating a few inches above everything. I wanted the album to have those contrasts because mental health isn't one sound or one emotion.
So Drowning on Dry Land is nearly here. What happens next? What's on your musical agenda?
More music.
Already?
Oh, I've got loads of ideas. This album actually opened up more doors than it closed.
And perhaps some live dates, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I've managed to get Axel behind a microphone doing backing vocals recently, and he has this really lovely melodic voice. That's been great for boosting his confidence, so never say never.
I'm taking that as an exclusive announcement of a 97-date world tour.
You absolutely are not.
Too late. It's going in the press release.
I want editorial approval.
You told me earlier you liked feedback.
I'm beginning to reconsider that.
Alice, it's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck with Drowning on Dry Land, and I suspect we're going to be hearing quite a lot more from Alice in Tomorrowland.
Thanks, Brayden. It's been fun.
And when you finally get the band on stage?
You'll get an invite, though you may have to come to London. Axel doesn't like flying either.
I'm holding you to that. Let's have a final track. This is the title track from Drowning on Dry Land.
I started out with steady hands, a quiet pulse, a careful plan, but little cracks beneath my feet became a fault line no one could see. I laughed too loud to hide the ache, built whole worlds from my mistakes. The voices dressed as old friends do, whispered lies I thought were true. And every step fell lighter while the ground disappeared below. I call it freedom, call it healing. Didn't know I'd let go. I'm drowning on dry land, sinking where I stand, reaching for a lifeline, grabbing empty hands. The tide is in my head now, pulling me again. I'm drowning on dry land. Can anybody understand? The colors bled beyond the lines. The clock forgot the shape of time. I swore the shadows knew my name, and every stranger looked the same. I stitched together fantasy to cover up what frightened me. Built a kingdom out of smoke, then watched it vanish as I spoke. And every warning siren sounded like a sweet refrain. I mistook the storm for shelter and invited in the rain. I'm drowning on dry land, sinking where I stand, reaching for a lifeline, grabbing empty hands. The tide is in my head now, pulling me again. I'm drowning on dry land. Can anybody understand? Don't tell me.
That was Alice from Alice in Tomorrowland. Their new album, Drowning on Dry Land, is available to download and stream from 1st September across the major digital music platforms. And whatever you do, don't ask Alice to rap.
I heard that.
We'll be right back with Guess the Year.